Today, we may finally get some answers as to the direction of where we're going to see the S&P going, where we're going to see the Nasdaq 100 going, the Russell 2000 stocks. We'll talk about the ETFs that track them. We'll show the technical analysis on each of those charts, and then also give an update on Nvidia, because if you haven't seen, I've never seen a more indecisive candle than what we got yesterday, as we are now just 2 weeks away from those Nvidia earnings. By the way, if you want to see my Nvidia stock price prediction and earnings projection, make sure you subscribe to this video, as I'll be putting that out probably within the next week, so we can take a look at that and see what exactly is coming our way, not only from a number side of things, but also, well, just what exactly is going on with that whole supply-demand issue that Nvidia has it facing. Is DeepSeek, DeepMind, is it really affecting it that much? By the way, I'm also going to give an update on Bitcoin and XRP, and then progress on the Bitcoin price prediction and the XRP price prediction. So let's get right into it, kicking things off with SPY. There we are. So with this chart that you see in front of you, I said prices on the bottom coming up, top coming down. So higher lows, lower highs. That consolidation that we have, and very narrowly near yesterday's close, also squeezing down this lower trend line. Below the peak, 609.83 is that number to beat. Once again, saying it every day until we actually see us get up above that or see another rejection off of it. So we're looking for that bullish movement. We're above the 250 and 20. So as per the moving averages on the daily chart, that is a very bullish place to be. We're also down near those averages rather than gapped way up above them. So that's also significant in my opinion as well. And then the momentum is subdued. So it's still in bullish territory above 50 as per the RSI, but it's not in the overbought territory. So we're actually looking really pretty right now from a bullish standpoint. We just need some of those answers to come out to the questions that we have, and I think inflation is that big catalyst. We'll see at 8:30. We'll start to know whether or not that is going to play a big part in it. Now, mind you, if we do break to the downside of this, we are in a rising wedge pattern. So that is a bearish reversal pattern, but it doesn't have to happen. So breaking through the top of, for example, is a bullish thing. Falling through the bottom of it, getting retested and rejected is a bearish thing. We need to watch and see what exactly we get. We need to keep updating those technicals every day. Come back to this channel to see it. Moving over from there to what we have for QQQ. Bottoms coming up, tops coming down. So again, we have more consolidation. Very similarly, up above the 250 and 20. And we just keep on getting these rejections. And we're really looking not only for the Nasdaq 100 being as tech heavy as it is. We're not only looking for the inflation numbers that we see, but we're also looking to Nvidia to give us a guidepost, if you will, or a signpost for what exactly is coming up. So we might continue to see some indecisiveness there. We might see some muted price action until the infrastructure leader for AI, which in my opinion is Nvidia, at least as per giving out or providing the hardware for that. Man, words are hard this morning. As per providing the hardware for that AI infrastructure build out, and them being the leaders and being such a huge player in the market by market cap, I think we might see some hesitation in the queues leading up to that point in time. We're just going to have to watch and see. So I'll get to NVIDIA in just a moment. Let's look at IWM. Riding this trend line right here, breaking down below that could be a near-term bearish thing. Speaking of near-term bearishness, take a look as I zoom in here at the 50-day, which is coming down this way, the 20-day, which is coming up. And we're down below the 50 and 20. That's near-term bearishness, but we're up above the 200 days. So that's bullish overall on a daily basis. The RSI is crossed down below 50, but not in a really strong dipping sort of manner. It's more of this wishy-washy consolidation momentum-wise, not really sure what to do. And that's reflected in this mostly sideways trading that we've seen recently for the Russell 2000 stocks. We want that low inflation. We want high GDP. We want tight labor market. We also want easy monetary policy in order to influence what we see for the Russell 2000 stocks. If we get all four of those, the quadfecta, if you will, to land, IWM is going to outperform most likely what we see for the Qs and for SPY, or at least be at the same level of performance for what we'd see for those two indices. I don't think that it would strongly underperform those in those areas. And the reason why I say that is this subdued price action that we've seen. It took a harder dip because of the inflation that's been a little bit stickier than what we saw for SPY, for QQQ. Extra sensitive to monetary policy, as we have a lot of profitless companies here that are just trying to struggle to make it. And so they need those things. They need cheap, easy access to money. And right now, it is not cheap or easy to access that capital. And so that makes it hard to make the businesses grow. And so we definitely want to watch that for the Russell 2000 stocks. Moving over to Nvidia, I said I have not seen a more indecisive candle. Look at this candle. We have a narrow body on the candle. I'll keep zooming in here till we can see it. This is the daily chart that we're looking at. This narrow body right here is the bulls and bears playing a tug of war game, just trying to pull the other across the line here to finally have a decisiveness. So you have the bears pushing down or pulling down on this thing, and then you have the bears trying to tug that upward, and what you end up is these long wicks on it, and down pretty much to the 20, up pretty much to the 50, just stuck right in the middle of them, deciding like, man, where do we go with this price right here? We know that Nvidia is a champion. We know that they have a lot of hardware progress coming their way, a lot of demand for their parts, a lot of demand for their services. What exactly is happening? We want some answers. And between what we see with the market and the questions that we have for Nvidia that are hanging on those earnings that come up in 2 weeks, this candle to me says it all about indecisiveness and the fact that we're not on top of the 50. As a matter of fact, the 20 is down below the 50, near-term bearish. We start to see the 50 and 20 inflecting downward, 200 still upward, but not as rapidly as it was, as we see with these top candles up here. This area of it's going to be just massive resistance from about where we're at right now, around mid 130s, up until we get into the low 150s. Speaking of 150s, we got to get on top of 156. That's where we need to set that candle if we're going to see further upward progress from where we're at right now. I don't know that we see the same run up to earnings that we've seen in recent quarters for Nvidia, with just way too many questions out there right now. That uncertainty is going to be downward pressure on Nvidia stock unless we get some sort of news catalyst that really starts to push them, really starts to rally, or until we actually get the markets themselves really starting to pull up on the trading multiples of all the stocks that are out there, because that's going to influence Nvidia as well. Moving over to Bitcoin. Bitcoin, look at this, right in the 95,413 that I have on here. I said that, watch that line. That's one of the near-term things that you need to see. I'm going to move that tail down there so it sits a little bit better with what that's indicating. 95,413. If we lose that, then our last hope for this strong price action that we've seen in the recent months for Bitcoin is this line right here, which we've seen massive support, massive buying pressure off of it. It's from the peaks of 2021 into the resistance, the recent bottoms that we've seen at the end of 2024 into early 2025. That's got to hold. If that doesn't, we drop significantly from where we're at. So if we drop through that, retest, get rejected, watch for a big old sell-off for Bitcoin. Most likely it's going to happen. Watch for Michael Saylor for a MicroStrategy to really be buying into such a thing. Need to get on top of the 50 and the 20. This is a lot in a moving average sense, like what we saw with Nvidia, except for the 50 hasn't started really strongly inflecting downward yet, like the 20 has, showing that near-term price weakness. But we could get a death cross out of that. It could sell down from here based on those moving averages, but it still is up above the 200-day. So that's still a longer-term bullish sentiment on Bitcoin from what we see right now. So we need to get back on top of the 50 and 20. That's really going to help us out. Getting on top of that 107,982 is that number to beat, that number to sit on top of with the candle, hopefully on strong volume, some nice strong momentum going along with it. That's going to be great for seeing that further upside, which puts us up, in my opinion, not only to those into like about the 116, 120 range, but that can also push us up even further from that up to that 143,931. If we get that sort of movement and if we get that buying pressure from a Bitcoin strategic reserve through a sovereign wealth fund. Over into XRP, check out this zone that I said we'd probably get trapped in. I said that when we were back in here, and then just days upon days of just these very narrow range candles on XRP, just marking time, being like, come on, something happened. We're just waiting for a catalyst. This thing's going to break big one way or the other, probably sometime in the near future. We're going to have to watch and see, but watch for it to break out the top of this. So strongly up above 250 or strongly down below 234 for XRP. We hit my first XRP price prediction of 340 based off this bullish pennant that we see. So the consolidation part, just the pennant part, was that 340, and we smooched it. We were within like 2 to 3 thousandths of a dollar on that one. So tenths wise of a cent, we were within 2 to 3 tenths of a cent within that price prediction. And then if we do get up above there and we get a massive movement, we get a strong movement, that's that 472.79. To the downside below these dotted lines, we have these trend lines from the consolidation pattern where we could potentially see further support come in if it does happen to sell down below where it's at right now. Now, mind you, you can see that buying pressure that happens in the mid 220s, and then down below that $2 mark. Look what happened when we dipped down below the $2. That's this long stem that you see right here. Massive buying pressure coming in to keep XRP afloat in the mid $2 range, from low to mid $2 range from where it's at right now. So in terms of the market, for inflation, we're really, the biggest question, the overall question is, what risk environment are we in? The market needs that answered. Inflation is going to be a key component of that. Jerome Powell with the Federal Reserve is going to be a big component of that. I can't dismiss Doge, who is trying to cut the amount of deficit that we have through government spending. With the treasuries, that can also be something that really starts to mitigate the amount of debt that we have coming in, which eases the pressure on GDP performance. Now, mind you, we still want that strong GDP performance. It can most definitely happen. We need to watch and see what goes on with Doge. We need to watch and see what happens with those GDP numbers. We need to watch monetary policy. Those are all going to be strongly influential with describing the risk environment that we find ourselves in. So easing pressures on long-term treasuries, for example, is a very good thing that we want to see that start to subside a little bit. We also want to see mortgage rates come down. If we see these rates start to fall, that can be further economic growth, especially if it starts to really strongly move the housing market forward. That could be just held back by those higher rates. So there's a lot to watch. There's a lot to see. Inflation is going to play a big part of it. Guys, if you want to see my buys and sells, if you want to see more of my technicals, find it over at the Discord, available through the Patreon. The link's down in the description. Also, if you're willing to do the technical analysis yourself and get access to the bread recipe trading strategy developed by Stockmo. Stockmo is a personal friend of mine. Got a link for Stockmo Academy down in the description. You can click on that, sign up. I use the bread recipe trading strategy because it is so clean and easy to follow, easy to set up. The course walks you through how to do it. There's a learning community that goes along with that course that you get access to just for signing up. And you can even see all the testimonials of the people who are experiencing wild success, oftentimes paying for that course in as little as one trade. And you can make it easier by using the code word DOCTOR when you sign up, DOCTOR. That's going to save you a ton of cash when you sign up for that course. And there is so much value that's in that course. I'd stand by it with my doctorate in education, 17 years in the profession. Stockmo, Mrs. Mo, who also works on those courses with him, they have even more experience in education than I do, and they are rock solid professionals as well. Like I said, use that code word DOCTOR when you sign up, and enjoy that bread recipe. I know that I do. Thanks for watching, guys. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning. We'll see you next video.